A short drive to the north of Quebec City takes you to the magical region of Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, where wild forests meet tranquil waters. There's no shortage of things to get up to here, so what better way to get to know a place than by meeting some of the locals? Now this is a black bear, probably called that because its coat is black. I'm no wildlife expert. And it actually looks quite friendly and like it would actually come up and say hello, but I'm not going to chance it. I'm not feeling very brave. The Zoo Sauvage Conservation Park lets you get face to face with some of North America's most impressive species, all in their natural environment.
Here in the park we never go right next to the bear. We keep always a good distance between us and them. It's only the keeper, the person who feeds them, that can go a little more closer. If not, we will stay in vehicle, train or bus or things like that.
The park is full of creatures both great and small, and a fascinating way to observe them is by taking to the water.
Here we can do a canoeing activity, so we go on the lake in the nature trail park. Often we see bear, moose, caribou. We can see also the muskox that can be there around the lake, so we go by canoe and can approach them differently.
And if you really want to experience living in the natural world, then how about a spot of camping?
Here we are in the caribou's land, so that's a park where people can come and sleep here in tents. So we pass 2 days here. Sometimes caribou can pass right behind us, or we can see them really closely, and we pass always good time here.
Getting back to nature is very much part of the culture here, and there are many ways to do it. This is Poitéon National Park on the bank of Lac SaintJean, and the best way to explore it is by bike.
There's a nice cycling trail that are making all the turn of the Poitéon, which is about 45 kilometers long.
The path really is very flat indeed, so it's a very easy cycle ride. So even if you don't do much cycling at home, there's nothing really to worry about, no dangers here whatsoever. And if you do keep your eyes out, sometimes you might see a beaver building its dam. If you're really lucky, if you're here during the right season as well, you might see some moose, which is always very jolly when you're out for a cycle ride.
There's nice places all around the point where you can have chance to see beaver in activity. The nicest hour, it's just a little bit before the sunset. The fact that we don't have any vehicles going on the campground, that's helped a lot to having a really relaxing journey here.
This is a traditional log cabin in the heart of Quebec's Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean. It's got all the features you'd come to expect: a comfy bed, wonderful views, and even a barbecue out on the veranda. But step outside and you realise not all is as it seems. Because this is actually a treehouse suspended some 40 feet up into the canopy.
When you have a little wind, the house move a little. You are like in the boat. You hear the wood. It's a crack. That's very good experience.
But the trees here are not only used for sleeping in, quite the contrary. In fact, they're also used as a giant playground up in the canopy, which is anything but restful. The thing is, you always look at these things and think that it's going to be okay, like it's not that hard. But it is. Starting to think I should have let someone else do this. Now, while you can do tree-to-tree climbing in the UK, what makes this slightly different is that it was the first in the world to introduce things like this. Games in the trees with a net, which means you do it without a harness, which means I need to get rid of these. The course becomes progressively more challenging, but don't worry, there are numerous exit points should it all get too much. And of course, the thing to remember is that you are always either attached to a harness or above a safety net. Yep, they hold. Well, not only is this absolutely awesome fun, what I hadn't banked on was how amazing the views are from here. Just behind me is a Saguenay Ford, and from up here, 60 feet up, it's really beautiful. But then, of course, what goes up must come down. And so, after a calf and bicep busting ascent into the canopy, it's time to lock yourself onto the nearest zip line and freefall back down to earth.
Okay. Trying to remember the safety briefing. I'm just keeping my body straight. I am fighting every inch of the way. Woo! I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, but I did, and I'm pleased I did. It's very good.
When the wind picks up over Quebec's Lac SaintJean, the locals head to their fashion wardrobes, pick out their finest nautical clothing and head to the water's edge. If conditions there are perfect, then there is only one thing they have in mind, and that is kite surfing. Now with me I have an expert kite surfer, Hugo, good to see you. Yeah. Now you're going to talk me through, first of all, the theory. What do I have to be looking out for? What do I have to know?
Okay, first to do kite surfing we need wind. So there are wind today, we have a good wind. First thing you have to do is to look where the winds come from.
Okay.
So to do that, you can take a little bit of sand and thing like that to know exactly where the winds come from.
I'm feeling the wind in my face. That's a good start. But of course, flying the kite on land is only the beginning. The hard part comes when you take to the water. It's the dignity of this sport that is perhaps the most wonderful thing about it. Well, I can obviously do with a bit more practice, but Hugo's going to show us how it should be done properly. I would have got there eventually.
Well, while Ben proves to the rest of the world what a sporting nation we are, I've travelled just down the road to Val-Jalbert, described as one of the best preserved ghost towns in Canada.
The village was founded by a guy named Damas Jalbert, who, with the Ouiachiouane Fall, 72 meters high, decided to use the energy in order to construct a mill to produce mechanical pulp.
The village was abandoned in the late 1920s following the closure of the pulp mill, but what remains are more than 40 of the original buildings, many restored to appear as they were nearly 90 years ago.
The general store was at the time, the main area of the village, the one part of the village with the church, the convent. The general store was one of the great piece.
Now a popular tourist destination, the village is not only open for tours. If the idea of staying in a ghost town doesn't give you the shivers, you can also spend the night.
People are really amazed of how they can experience the village during the night and also during the day. But to stay here overnight is you get the spirit of the area. Is quite an amazing experience.
There's something really very different about Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean. I doubt there are many places where you can spend the night in a wildlife park, a luxury tent, a treehouse, or even a deserted village. It's clear that the resilient spirit that the region's inhabitants are so well known for still exists.